My name is Kathleen Hartley. I'm from Duxbury, Massachusetts. I was 7 years old, and every night before I go to bed, my mother would read to my sister and I, and she noticed that she could see a lot of the white of my eye, and my face looked a little swollen. So she took me to the doctors, and they thought it was an ear infection. So they gave me some antibiotics, sent me home. A couple days later, it still hadn't changed, got a little worse. So we went into Children's that day, April 22nd, 1995. We went into Children's, and they took all kinds of tests, MRIs, CAT scans, the whole business, and they discovered I had a tumor on the left side of my face. They admitted me into Children's that night, up to 7 West, that floor. I believe the next day I had numerous biopsies to figure out what it was. It was an undifferentiated sarcoma, and they started chemo that day.
She was so sick that at the end of 9 months, they came to us and said, we have determined that the protocol can be shortened with the same results. So we're going to shorten it because right now the chemo's killing her. She's not bouncing back the way she was supposed to. Mm-hmm. They took her back in, and they did biopsies, and then they called us to tell us that the tumor was still alive and there was nothing else they could do. And the surgical team then came to us and said, well, we can't operate, because if we operate, we're going to have to take the whole left side of her face off, and we can't do that kind of reconstruction. So I just sat there and I said, Kate, the cancer's still alive. And she started to cry, and she said, I don't want to do chemo again. I don't want to do any more chemo. She didn't know there was nothing else they could give her. But I just said, okay, that's all right. We're not going to do any more chemo. We're not going to do anything else. And in the meantime, my sister had read this article about a little boy in Norwell. Was he in Norwell at the time? Billy Best. And she called me and she said, why don't we call him? He did this alternative therapy. So we called him and we reached Billy on the phone. I said, my daughter has cancer and she is willing to try anything right now. Katie says, does it hurt? No. Does it make your hair fall out? Billy says, no. Do you throw up? No. And I'm like, okay, this is going well. We did it for 15 months, continuously. You know, the 21 days, 3 days off, 21 days. And she was doing fabulous. It was probably March, 3 months later. We started it on January 17th, the 714X. I'll never forget that morning. And then we continued it till probably March.
It took a good couple months to really notice a difference. Like, I was living on the couch, I wasn't doing much. But that trip to Disney World, I was up with my brothers and sisters and finally got back to school. And I think the food and everything had a huge difference with everything.
Where she started to eat, her cheeks got some color again. She was always so pasty white. Her cheeks looked red. She had a blast. She came back, and I'm going to say probably at the end of March, she was back in school practically full time.
Energy-wise, I was used to probably over a year of not doing a whole lot of anything. And I was outside with the neighbor, all the kids, and being able just to get up out of the house was amazing for me because I hadn't in so long. Getting back to school, which it was definitely a big energy, a huge difference in that. I wanted to get up and be able just to go outside, like I said, was but it took a couple months before I noticed a change and everything.
There's a new doctor who had never seen Katie before, and he brought the scan in, and he picked her up, and he put her in front of the scan because she had seen all of her scans. She was in the room one time when they had every one of them up from every angle, and she was looking at them all, and she looked at it, and then she looked at Daddy, and she kind of smiled, and she said, it's not there. You take 9 months of x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, and you see this massive thing in this little girl's head all the time, you know what it looks like. And it wasn't there, it was gone. They went in and they did numerous biopsies, up her nose, through her, they could get through the palate of her mouth, and then up by her teeth. I think they went in that. And so they did 6 or 7 biopsies, and every one of those results came back negative. There was no cancer in her at all. She's 20 years old today, and nothing has ever come back.